Hello, everyone, and welcome to Questions for our Administration panel today. And today I'm the moderator for this panel, and my name is Marta Patricio, and I'm the SGA Secretary. And today, let me introduce you the panelists that will help answer your questions today. We have Ann Davis, who's the Vice President and Student Academic Affairs, and then we have Chris Coates, who's Provost and Vice President in Communications and Planning. And then we have Amber Foltz, who is the Dean of Students. The panelists would like to say hello?
Greetings, students. Happy to be here this evening and respond to some of your questions about our fall semester.
Absolutely. Welcome back, everybody. What a first week of classes, and looking forward to a great semester.
Yes, welcome to probably one of those semesters that'll go down in the record books as the thing we all look back and refer to, that weird time in education. But we're glad you're joining us.
I'm not sure if we have any students yet, but if you do have any questions, please post them on the chat room and we will get to your answers as fast as we can. First off, the questions that we have so far, we had developed during SGA meetings and even asked some faculty members. And the questions that we came up first was, are we allowed to come to campus to study if network or the internet connection problems occur?
I'm going to jump in right over it because this is an easy one. I'll leave the harder questions for later. The answer is yes. The campus is open. Obviously, want everybody to be safe as possible. So while on campus, we'll be following procedures to keep you safe. But the campus is available, and there are computers and Wi-Fi available. You will just need to come in and follow the directions and the instructions at the front desk when you do come in, just so that we can keep track on that. But the short answer is yes. And sorry, Amber, it looked like you were going to answer that too. So do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I will just add that we do have public Wi-Fi throughout most of the campus, and we have removed a lot of the seating so that it'll create kind of naturally socially distanced spaces for any student who has their own iPad or laptop that they want to bring. If students don't have their own laptop or iPad, we also have reserved computer rooms in each of our locations so that a student can come in and use our technology while they're here. And an email went out to all students just a couple of days ago with all of the specific information about those rooms.
Well, that's great to hear. Do we have anyone to add to that, or no? Okay.
I think my colleagues covered it well.
All right. For the next questions we have is, for the classes that are in person, such as some labs, what precautions are being taken, and how are the instructors of LFCC or LFCC are enforcing these?
So I'll take this one. For those classes where students have coming to campus, the number of students that are able to be enrolled in the section have been limited in order to allow for effective social distancing in the labs. The lab spaces have been, our facilities team has examined the lab spaces and designated where students can be in order to maintain distancing. Students are required to wear face coverings, as is the instructor, while they are indoors. Even if they're socially distanced, as long as they're indoors, the face covering is required. Faculty will also be wearing face coverings. We have acquired some microphones for faculty that they can wear on their shirts so that it will help amplify their voice. Speaking through a mask is sometimes challenging to hear, so that's something measure we've taken. And All of the classrooms will be cleaned between use by the different groups, and all of the students and staff and faculty that involved in those have been asked to sign a health agreement that they will, you know, abide by the standards for keeping everyone safe. I hope that, is there anything else either of my colleagues want to add?
Very good.
All right, on to the next one. The next question would be, is LFCC observing the most up-to-date Virginia guidelines that is established by the Department of Health? And what specific guidelines are we following exactly?
Well, I can,
Who would like to take?
yeah, I can start with answering that question. The answer is yes, but I also want to, but the answer is yes. There are a number of different guidelines that we follow. So there's the Virginia Department of Health. There's also the CDC guidelines, and then Lord Fairfax Community College is part of the community college system across Virginia. So we follow VCCS, Community College System guidelines as well. So those are three groups that we closely monitor. There's actually a fourth, not to get too confusing, but the governor also has executive orders that he puts out from time to time that are modified, and so we follow those as well. To the question of what those are specifically, if you're interested in reading more about our plan, if you go to lfcc.edu/coronavirus, there is a return to campus plan on that site that'll give you a lot of detail about what they are currently. So for example, and Amber mentioned furniture. Some of it, we've removed some seats so that and rearranged some areas so that there is safe distancing. We've put markings on the floors to keep distancing, and hand sanitizer stations, cough guards, and then and a number of other things. As we get guidance, and this is the real important part for you to know, we have a team of people who are responsible and are monitoring these plans and guidelines, and are meeting regularly to make changes as changes come from Department of Health and the CDC. So what we have set up right now is the up-to-date guidelines, and as they're changed, our team is on it and making changes as we go. So I hope that helps you understand, because some of the requirements do change over time, and they get a little, as we get more information, the guidance does change. So I just want to let you know there's a team monitoring it, but the current plan is out there on the website, and it's pretty detailed, and I think you'll find it quite helpful. And I certainly take any questions about what might happen in the labs and elsewhere, but.
Okay, thank you. Okay, other than that, what is the waiver that students taking in-person classes will have to sign?
I can take that one. Chris, if you will make me a co-host for a moment, I've pulled that waiver up and I can share my screen and share it with you.
While Amber is doing that, I'll just add that the term waiver is being used here, but it's really, the student is not waiving any rights or anything like that. It's an agreement that they sign, that they will, abide by what will keep our community and them safe. So the term waiver maybe isn't the most appropriate term here, but it's a health safety agreement.
All right. And I believe most of these waivers are offered for people who are students that are taking the labs, right?
Anyone who's going to be on campus, faculty, staff, and students have been asked to sign a health safety agreement that basically is about saying we will all take responsibility to keep one another in our community healthy and safe to the best that we're able. Amber?
So I've shared my screen and I'm just very slowly scrolling through so that you're able to see that there are expectations that are built in. And as Dr. Davis said, these are designed to help us all to protect our campus community. And we ask students to sign. And so as you can see, while we might refer to it as a waiver form, it's an agreement form so that we're all in agreement that we're looking out for one another.
All right. Okay. What happens if someone in a face-to-face is tested positive for COVID? Like, what is the process for everyone else in that classroom? And will everyone be informed that someone does have COVID? Or will it be leaving information out and such?
Amber, you want to take that one? Or?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
What we have asked is that anytime a student tests positive for COVID, we're asking the student to self-disclose. When a faculty member becomes aware of a student, we're asking the faculty member to disclose that information to Caroline Wood. She's one of our associate vice presidents. And she is working with the student and with the faculty to make sure that the necessary notifications are made. Those notifications will not be specific, won't have a student's name in them because we will be trying to provide confidentiality, but we will share when there has been an exposure. Keeping in mind that as long as we're following our guidelines and students in face-to-face classes are wearing their masks and they're socially distancing, that should be the thing that prevents exposure. So I don't know that we would call that exposure, but there will be some awareness that there has been the presence of a positive person.
Can I just add something real quick? So I was wondering if, so say we don't include the student's name and personal information. However, somebody is exposed in a lab situation. Should that whole lab have to quarantine for 14 days, or because I don't know how that would work, even if we do have masks.
I can answer that a little bit, Kelsey. So the one of the things that we have a relationship with the local Department of Health, and as a situation comes up, and we will talk about the case with the Department of Health as well, who are experts in, you might have heard the term contact tracing, and just trying to help us figure out where that student has been and who needs to be notified. And if as part of that process, if you've been exposed to a situation or to somebody who's close, then we will definitely be in contact about that and informed, and that may depending on the situation, it may require that a number of different things, either quarantine or it might be completely safe. But that decision is really something that we try to make with guidance from the Department of Health, rather than just a blanket statement that everyone goes on quarantine, because it may not require it. And so let me give you an example. If a class meets once a week, and somebody who you didn't have much contact with is positive, test positive, and it was a week or so ago, they may not advise that everyone quarantine. They may just say, hey, just monitor and keep track of your symptoms. So, and I just I point that out to say it kind of depends on the situation and the case and who and the level of exposure. But there's no blanket rule that we're just going to quarantine or close down. It really depends.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Kelsey. And Mr. Colts. The next question is that will there be testing offered on the campus at the testing center or only online?
With the guidelines that have been mentioned previously, all of the guidelines about social distancing requirements and looking at the volume of testing that our testing center on campus normally provides, we have determined that it's just not feasible right now for us to do a traditional testing center kind of testing environment. So in lieu of that, we are working with something called Respondus, and you may encounter this with your classes, which will provide some online proctoring services. Additionally, we have certainly been encouraging faculty to think about all of the different methods for assessing student knowledge, and testing is one of those methods, but it is not the only method, and it's not always the best method. So we're encouraging thoughtfulness and creativity and thinking about the best ways to serve students and the best ways to measure knowledge in a time like this when a traditional testing kind of environment won't be available for students.
All right, thank you. So last spring, we faced so much uncertainty when we had to quickly move to a completely virtual platform. What measures and changes has LFCC made to better prepare faculty for an almost completely virtual presence for fall?
Well, that is a great question. I think that in the spring, when folks had begun their semester under the assumption that they would be teaching and learning in a face-to-face environment, it became quite a challenge midway through to shift and create a class that was designed in one way to be delivered in a different modality than had been intended. And that, I'm sure, created angst among students as well as faculty. And recognizing, as LFCC did rather early, that the likelihood was going to be that fall would not return to campus given the public safety concerns, quite a bit of energy and effort has gone into, as this question suggests, helping train our faculty. Over the summer, our faculty have gone through what's called we call design camp. And this is an opportunity where the faculty are actually become the students and are learning many of the ways that they can make their online class much more engaging. They can intentionally design the class for the online platform. And so when students come this fall and start their classes now, they should be assured that the faculty have had this kind of training, that the class was designed before the semester started with the intent that it was online. And, you know, our faculty are also still in the learning process. So they're engaging throughout the semester with their peers, learning more about ways that are working well. And so they will be implementing these things as we go along as well to engage their students in the online platform. So very much, definitely there has been training involved, and the opportunities that this creates for better student learning, I am very optimistic about.
Thank you. So the internet is a major component for all courses, of course. How is LFCC approaching the fact that some, possibly many, students live in unreliable connectivity?
I think that circles us back to the initial question. One of the one of the things that we know about our region is that the internet availability is inconsistent across the entire service region, and we do serve 7 counties in a city, so you would expect that to be the case. Thinking about that, we have tried to compile as much information as we can to give to students. I mentioned before, an email came out from my office from the Dean of Students earlier last week, trying to give students a heads up about all the different ways that technology might be available to them. So we've talked about what's available on campus. We've also tried to curate information about what's available in the localities that we serve. So if you refer back to that email, you will find that there is internet accessibility at all of our local libraries, regional libraries throughout the region, as well as a number of what were previously private hotspots that have been made public hotspots. So our hope is that students who feel like they want to or need to come to campus to use our services are able to. Students who might live at a further distance from the campus might be able to make use of a local community resource to be able to access the internet. And we do encourage any student who is still struggling with the technology piece above and beyond that to reach out to their academic advisor, to reach out to me, to reach out to our library, and share, and their faculty members, and share the struggles that they're having, so that we might be able to support them individually in figuring out a solution to the issue.
Thank you. So with mental or emotional support, has LFCC offered its students as we continue to face uncertain future?
I'll take that one as well. You may or may not know, Lord Fairfax has a team of individuals that's referred to as the student support team. And we are a collection of professionals from different areas of the college who come together, and we try to help students who are going through a difficult time connect with resources that might be able to support those students. We also pull together resources from our community, and we've made them available on our website. The email address is, or the web address is just lfcc.edu/wecare. And on that We Care site, a student will find all kinds of community resources that we have curated from the 7 counties and city that we serve. And we've put all of that information together in one place for students to be able to access. And I think that's helpful for students who maybe don't necessarily want to speak to somebody at the college about the things that they're struggling with, that information is available at their fingertips. If students do have concerns and they want to speak to someone at the college, we do encourage them to reach out. Again, any of those folks I mentioned before, faculty, their academic advisor, directly to me as the Dean of Students, anybody that they've built a connection with, to let us know what's going on. Even if the person that you reach out to doesn't necessarily feel equipped to be able to help, they are aware of our student support team, and they can get students connected with us so that we can make those really important connections. One piece of that question specifically was about mental health, and that is something that I want to acknowledge, that living in the midst of a pandemic, living in the midst of a time when our country is going through a lot of turmoil related to equity issues, those two things are both really stressful things for a lot of our students. And then you combine them together and it's like a superstorm of stressful events. So we acknowledge that this isn't easy. It's we've shared as professionals with each other when we've been struggling with the weight of what's happening in the world. And So we do approach students, I think, with an awareness that even those of us who are in the best of mental health may have these moments where we struggle with these things. And so again, that idea of reaching out so that we can get students connected to services is really important. We don't provide mental health counseling at the college, but we do have great relationships with different agencies and individuals with a community that do step up to support our students. And so making those connections, I think, is really important.
Thank you. And I really appreciate that LFCC is offering this We Care program for us. Other than that, what work study opportunities, if there's any, may there be? And is there a possibility that certain departments within LFCC, financial aid, student life, etc., will be able to have a work study? If not, what can be done for students who want to work and study at LFCC?
I think
Well,
that one comes. Oh, you want to take that one, Ann?
I'll start, Amber, and you might have to fill in. I'll just start with sort of a high level is for our campus community at this moment in time, health and safety of our individuals is the most important consideration. And so if you're on campus, you'll find that in order to reduce the density of the number of people on campus, many folks that can are working remote. So while we say the campus is open, it isn't open in the same way that we're used to at the start of a semester. And as Amber said, there's limited seating in order to maintain social distancing. We do have some lab space available for students to come in to use computers, but it's only limited rooms and limited spaces. So it's not the environment where there is a high level of function happening. So the opportunities, first of all, for students to have meaningful work on campus are very limited. And then in addition to that, the health and safety of our students is a paramount concern. So I'll let Amber kind of give some of the detail about the work study, but that's sort of at the high level.
So taking off of that and looking at guidance that has come out of the Federal Department of Education and recommendations for best practices regarding work study this semester, we have made the really tough decision to temporarily suspend our work study program. That's certainly not a I think permanent decision, but it's as circumstances continue that force us to be cautious with social distancing, we will hold tight with that. Now, what we have done instead of that is all of the financial aid funds that would typically support a work study program at the college, we have converted to provide additional financial aid for students. So that money is still student oriented. It's still giving access to students who might not be able to afford to come to college otherwise. So I think we're all comfortable in saying the funds have gone to really good use, but at the same time, as you know, leading a team that has historically had a lot of student work study participation, it's a tough thing for us all, I think, to not be able to offer those opportunities for our students and to not have the opportunity to work so closely with our students. But we do look forward to a time when life returns to normal or a new normal or something like that, and we get to work closely with our students again. Physically closely to our students. We're still working closely through, you know, Zoom and calls and such.
Yes. Other than that, if there is another shutdown, will these in-person classes go online, or will that, like, how will that look, like, specifically for, like, labs, the nursing courses, the dental course?
I can give a very high level response to that, which is, please, if you're in that situation, please work with your instructor, because it's going to look a little bit different depending on the courses. So I think the biggest thing I could say with that, and then I definitely want to hand over to VP Ann Davis to talk more about it, but the labs and a lot of the health professions programs were designed to be flexible, and we've asked individual instructors to really look at their classes so that if we're in that situation, they have a plan, and to let the students in that course know and talk about that plan up front. So it's very difficult for me to say, hey, this is exactly what's going to happen in every single class. For the most part, what you can be sure of is that if we can create an engaging and interactive experience so that the class can continue to work together, we will do that virtually online. There are one or two programs that really do depend on being able to meet, and so we ran into that in the spring, and we all of us are hoping that doesn't happen again for a number of reasons. Especially, we don't want another crisis. We don't want people getting sick. But let me give you an example. Dental hygiene. You know, those students in that program have to meet with clients in person. And so if we're unfortunately in that situation, we'll just have to put a pause on that program and just wait a little bit. But I'll go back to what I said earlier, which is it really depends on the course and the program. And so please do speak with your instructor, the deans. Each course and each program reports to a dean, an academic dean, and if you have questions about that your instructor is not able to help, go to that dean and ask him or her if they can also help in that situation. Sorry, Anne, this is in your area. So
that's a great answer. I think the good news is that the situation that we're in now is very different than the situation that we were in the spring, where we've already taken the measures to move classes off campus, create engaging ways for student and faculty to interact. And the face-to-face courses that are happening now are really those that have a component that is difficult, though in some cases not impossible, to replicate online. And so as Dr. Coots has said, these classes would have a plan if they were to have to close. But the proactive part is that because we've reduced the density on campus, even in our current situation, being able to continue to bring the small population back, we think will be highly likely that they would not have to shutter those classrooms again.
I'm sure this is everyone's question that they're asking for. And it's, do we expect classes to be mainly back on campus in spring? Or when do you expect classes to move back to campus again?
I guess this is what we all wish we had a crystal ball to know what the future holds, because we live in a great deal of uncertainty right now, as Amber has indicated, and that's not a comfortable place to be in most of the time, in uncertainty. And it's I think a very natural question that folks want to know. What do we foresee the spring? I think if we look at the indicators in terms of the environment, the public health safety environment, the state of the infection rate, as well as the length of time that it would take for a vaccine not only to be deployed, but to be implemented and administered to the population, that we, in all likelihood, will have a spring semester that probably resembles very much what we are experiencing now, if we had to make that guess. And that it's really not a guess, it's an educated, we're basing that on data that's coming our way. It's not a reality that any of us really wants, because we miss you on campus, and we miss the vitality of the campus when students and faculty are there together, and our student support services staff. And so we have to keep in mind that there will be an end to this. We will get to the other side of it. It's not comfortable being in the midst of it, and it's not what we all necessarily are going to be desire. But we are making plans now with scheduling for spring. I'm working with the academic leadership team and have instructed them to begin building out the spring schedule in a way that primarily will keep students learning online with some limited face-to-face on campus, much as we have now, with the understanding that should the external environment shift and we have the opportunity to be more present on campus, we can always add face-to-face. But what we don't want to do to our students is to build a schedule that's face-to-face and then have to switch it like we did in the spring. We really believe the learning environment is going to be much more conducive if we can plan it ahead in the online and design it that way, because we could come back to campus, but it's much harder to start at campus and flip it back. So that's where we are right now in the planning stage. And like I said, is if we see something changing, we will adjust. But that's what I would expect right now at this point in time.
Thank you. And I want to thank the panelists for taking their time to answer our questions. And we have no additional questions from students so far. So I want to thank each and every one of you. And do each of you have a parting words for the students of LFCC?
Well, I will say thank you for taking the time to ask these questions. We know the situation for many students right now, for a lot of reasons, is less than ideal. We know how we feel about our campus buildings feeling so empty and lacking your energy. And we appreciate the opportunity to get to interact with you. We appreciate the opportunity to answer your questions. And although the semester may be primarily virtually, I still look forward to seeing you in all of the different student activities and events that we will be engaging in with this semester. So I'm hoping to get to see you again soon via Zoom.
So one of my things that I've been saying lately is the positive disruptions of COVID. So there are some things that we're learning in this online environment, ways of doing work and learning, and that have real positive impacts on helping us engage one another in new and different ways. So I'm hopeful that when we get to the other side of this, we'll be able to keep the things that have been positive disruptions and add them to our toolbox of learning tools and efficiency in our workplace, and be able to blend that with what we know is something that we all like, is that face-to-face social engagement in our classrooms and on our campus. And so I would say, look at this as an opportunity to build resilience and an opportunity to learn how to live in an uncertain time, and know that it will pass, that we will get to the other side. And when we do, and we look back, at some point it will seem like it was just a blip, even though when we are in the middle of it, it feels like it's going on forever. So that's my I guess, hope and wish that when you look back, it'll seem like it was a very short time. And so just keep that in mind, students, as you are persisting and learning to be more resilient along with us. It's as academic administrators and faculty, we're learning right alongside with you. And we look forward to returning to campus where we can learn together.
I wish I could say it better. But I do want to echo what Amber and Anne have just said. I will add one more thing that may be interesting. We are starting year number 50 for LFCC. So we started in 1970, and I was looking we have up on our website a timeline, and I was looking at some of the students who started back in 1970 and some of their experiences. And it's so interesting that we're like, here we are 50 years later, and it looks so different. And we're, so we get a chance to, as some of the speakers just talked about, to get through this together and maybe even figure out how to do it a little bit better and come up with some new ideas for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years of this college. So you're all here at a very, very interesting time where we're going to be looking at the college and some of the good things that we've done, but also trying to think about how to what's our plan for going forward, what's our strategic plan. And so for those of you who are on the SGA, look out for our message. We're going to be in contact with you very soon, because we're going to be doing strategic planning and looking at how we want this college to look in the next few years. So we need your help, and you're here at a very special time. So I hope to be speaking to you soon.
Thank you, Mr. Coots, for your parting words. And other than, I want to thank everyone again for their parting words and for making time for us. On September the 1st, we're having a Getting to Know the SGA forum, and it's at 12:30. So please join us, and we have answers, and we would like to meet students from, our campus to see what's going on and to see how mental health is if they're healthy, if they need help. We have answers for you, or we will get answers for you, but I just want to thank everyone again.
Thank you for leading this.
Yep.